Look at that, Brian. Just like that, technology. How's it going? It's Nate Mumford, as always, here hanging out with Brian Radka over New Zealand, right?
Yep,
Or an
yep, New
Acquire office
Zealand,
over there.
Christchurch.
Christchurch,
That's
that's
right.
right.
Yeah.
Brian, thanks for joining us today. Brian is the Aquira Product Manager. Getting really excited to talk more things about Aquira here as part of this RCS Live series. Brian, I always do a little housekeeping out of the way first, so bear with us here. Don't forget, we have a new state-of-the-art office right across the street over in New York. We can't wait to show you that brand new office. We're also back on the road as well. We have a full list of upcoming events right here. They include Radio World webinars. We're coming on UK Radio Festival, All Access Radio Summit, NAB as well, Radio Days Europe, Momentum, and so much more. Speaking of NAB, that's right. We'll be live once again, booth W5222 in the West Hall. Looking forward to that. Don't forget to check out our CEO, Philippe Generali, over at the Radio World Running Radio Today, part one, The Produce. It's a really awesome series we're doing there. You can sign up for that. That's free. Happening March 17th at noon o'clock. There we go. It's about, I think when this airs, we're doing this, full disclosure, doing this on Wednesday night. So that's going to be about an hour from now, just so you know. You can sign up for that too. And let's see what else we got here. Don't forget your backups, data exchanges, and beta users. Oh, before I get to beta users, I'm going to transition here for radio. Don't forget, we're also hiring as well. There's some great opportunities here on our career page over to rcsworks.com. I want to check that out. But Brian, we're talking a lot about beta users because we have, of course, Zeta in beta, G-Selector's in beta, and Aquira is also in beta as well. I know we have you here today to talk about some of those really cool features that are coming down the pipeline in Aquira. So I think what we'll do today is kind of tease a little bit about them. I also want to showcase your highlights on the Spotlines, some of the Brian pro tips that you like to use. And we'll save much more detailed of show these features live in person down the road. But I wanted to, just because, again, we do have some beta users now that are testing this. We want to kind of talk about it for right now. So you had mentioned, Brian, that we have a couple of your favorite. You picked your favorites for the new Aquira build, right?
Yeah, I've gone through just small list of some of the features that are coming in this new version of Aquira that is currently in beta, just to quickly talk about. And if you want more information about those, and of course, there's a lot of other cool features coming in Aquira as well in 3.21.2. Then you can always talk with your local RCS support office and get a copy of the release notes, or check out the beta release that's out there. But just to list off a few enhancements that we've got. Our DFP, or Google Ad Manager feature. It's a function that
Big.
we've had in Aquira for quite some time, that integrates our web lines through to Google Ad Manager. And in the past, it's just been that kind of one way Acquira sends through to Google Ad Manager the required impressions. But we have recently, as part of this version of Acquira, added in the ability to bring the impressions from Google Ad Manager, the achieved impressions, back into Acquira, so that you can actually get your reconciliation in one place. You can ensure that your campaign has actually gone to air with the impressions that you've required, or for Google Ad Manager, the streaming ads or the banners and that kind of thing have achieved the impressions that really the client is paying for.
Yeah. And
Um,
Brian, we've been talking
yep,
about here at RCS, we've been talking about total integration. And that's just a great example of what that total integration is, because you're talking about your impressions alongside your radio traffic all in one space. And that's just such a really important, I mean, it's evolving, right? That's the whole
yeah,
thing, is radio's evolving.
absolutely, and I'll have a bit more to say in that space as well a bit later on too, in terms of tracking impressions. I mean, audience is really a big part of what we do, and what we're moving towards. It is an evolving space, of course. That ability to be able to account for what has been broadcast and who has
Mhm.
actually listened to it. We have our GRP functionality that we use in primarily in Scandinavia, which is really big on audience, because they basically charge for the GRP rather than by
Mm.
the spot, or the impacts functionality that is used in the UK. And then, of course, more impression based. Uh, more impression based campaigns
Yeah.
around the likes of podcasting and streaming and integration through with Triton and that kind of thing, which is preempting what I was going to talk about later. But it's
Ah,
a big area that we've been working in, and it's something that we're close to launching. As you mentioned, Aquira is in beta at the moment. We've got another few weeks to run on that beta, and then roughly about the same time that we go general release with this version of Aquira, we'll also be releasing or launching our cloud-based
mhm.
development that we've done recently as well. And closer to that time, I'm hoping that I can grab some of your time again, Nate,
Yeah.
to show some of that, which is our integration through to platforms like Triton. Triton's our big one to start with, and then other platforms such as AdsWiz will be coming in time as
Yeah.
well. But that's all about impression based selling. In this case, it's in the podcast and the streaming space. And after that, we've got some other really exciting things to come in that space as well over the next few releases of Aquira.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to being able to show those as they unfold.
Yeah, those are 2 really, really big features when you think about it. Because again, we like to hear at
Yeah.
RCS, we keep saying integration, but we like to kind of envision as you're sitting at one desk doing multiple tasks, doing different things, and that's one of those great ones where you're just sitting at your desk in Aquira, doing your impressions, doing your Triton integration, all that. So there's some really, really cool stuff coming down the pipeline as well. What else did you wanna highlight?
Yeah, so also just talking about, I'm going to show you some Spotline tricks later, but in our weekly Spotlines, which is a great function in Acquire for quickly entering spots over a number of weeks. But what it does is it puts them all together so you see it in one compact weekly view.
Mhm.
And if you're familiar with the Spotlines area in Acquire, we also show our live avails. Now, because we may show multiple weeks in one view, the avails are usually showing the worst warning at that top level. So if one week of the many is sold out, we'll highlight that entire day as red. But to be able to then see which week actually has the avails issue, where you can expand out the weeks, we're now highlighting which of the individual weeks does have an avails problem, because you may have booked 52 weeks on one spotline, and that's condensed down into an easy to view grid.
Mm.
And so just highlighting the weeks again, your RCS support team can preview that for you as well. Another couple of things just to highlight on the
Yeah.
invoice reporting. Um, it's now possible to display the amount that has already been paid on the invoice. So that's in our
Mhm.
reporting area. The report service status screen now has been enhanced to display any issues that previously just showed up in the event viewer if there were errors sending email reports or report
Mhm.
subscriptions. We've added that information into the report service status screen so that people can track that more easily. As always, with any release of Acquira, we've made a number of performance improvements, including things like just the tuning of stored procedures, or
Mm.
loading grids such as the contract browse grid to just improve the performance there. So it's something we're always working on. And also in the performance space, we've added a heartbeat indicator into
Mm.
Acquira. We've already had the polling in place where you can choose to check the status of the Acquira service every kind of, I don't know, 60 seconds or something like that. And we just have an indicator on the screen now that tells you that you're still connected to the Acquira service in the case of maybe network problems where there might be a dropout there.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things. There's a lot of other functionality that has been added into this version of Aquira, but just some of the things that I wanted to quickly talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause you know, Di would get me. She'd be like, hey, listen, this is supposed to be a 20-minute conversation and it's on
Yeah.
hour 2 with you and Brian. Do you mind cutting it down a little bit? Yeah, totally get it. Of
Yeah,
course, a
I could
full
read through all the release notes and it would take forever. So
we got a full course, reach out to your local RCS salesperson, whether that be in support, could be sales, could be whatever it is, and we'll put you in touch with to be a beta user and play with this, but also get you that full list of all those enhancements. And there's a lot of them coming down the pipeline as well. And as Brian mentioned, we're about a month or so, give or take a little more, a couple
yeah,
weeks away
yeah,
from
two or
release.
three weeks
Yeah,
from going
yeah,
to general release.
we'll
So
let
of
you know.
course
Don't worry.
we want to get some good beta testing in there
Absolutely.
while we're still in beta.
Absolutely. So, Brian, I'll give you a couple seconds here to queue up your Acquire here. You can close all those tabs, all that good stuff here. And I
Yep.
always put all my guests on the spot usually, and I like to say, hey, show me some of your favorite tips and tricks, or especially with Brian, who, by the way, welcome, by the way, for as a product
Thank
manager,
you.
Brian. Congratulations. And I know at least for this thing, we haven't talked about it. And I like to kind of say, hey, what do you like to do in the software? Like, what's a thing of Brianism, right? And so we kind of
Sure.
talk about that. And Brian instantly was like, well, Spotlines, I can talk about that. I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna cue you up. Ready to go?
I am ready to go. Yes. Yep.
Sweet. All right.
All
There
right.
is your screen. There is Brian's acquirer there. So we're talking about Spotlines, right? So
Yes.
let's elaborate on there.
All right. So yeah, in the past, I've obviously talked a lot about Acquire to Go. So I thought it might be good to highlight
Yeah.
some of my tips and tricks for Acquirer, and one of the areas where it's always good to be able to get some fast some good tips is in the Spotlines area. So I'm just starting by quickly adding a brand new contract, selecting my rate card, etc. Now I'm going to use the monthly spot format to
Okay.
show this. And if we come into Spotlines, um, you can see the month here is defaulted. My database is back in January, and I've set it up so I can enter a lot of days in the
Mhm.
past. So it's defaulted to January this year. Now,
Yeah.
we've got the calendar picker, and you can use that to select the month. But of course, there's a lot of clicking, or you can type into the screen, and I've managed to select June. So let's just jump back to
Mhm.
January. My preferred way of selecting the month that I want is just a quick entry, which, especially if you're a keyboard person, works really well. And we'll type M, which just means the word month. And I want to, let's say, enter some spots into July. July is the 7th month of the year.
Mhm.
So I type 7, press tab, and that
Ah,
grid has now set
boom.
up for July. Um, and just to reinforce that, if I wanted December, the 12th month of the year, and it's going to jump
So much
to the
easier than
next
click, 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 click,
December in the
click, or
calendar.
December. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. So, and then on top of that, obviously we select our stations, and you've got your spot grid. Now, I'm on a different resolution than I'm used to, but as you can see, if I expand that out, um, we were talking about the avails before, so it's this color coding on the cells that I was talking about.
Mhm.
Also, for fast spot entry, of course, you can just enter and move your mouse around, or the arrow keys or the tab key. But if we select multiple cells, it's very easy to just enter a number of spots, or using the control button, selecting several cells and entering spots like that. And also, we have a handy copy and paste function within the Spotlines as well.
Yeah.
So, as well as being able to quickly select the month, you can easily copy and paste the cells as well. And just to quickly show you, because I've shown you the
Yeah.
month option, if we change it to a weekly spotline, which I know is used a lot in the United States and in
Mhm.
other parts of the world, we obviously get a slightly different spot grid that I was talking about before, where it's just laid out as Monday to Sunday.
Mhm.
And again, you can select the dates. Now, I'm not as good at this as some people in some parts of the world, but if you know the week number, you can just type W for week, and then let's say
Oh,
we want week 15. I don't know what week 15 in the
you got
calendar
me.
is. That's taken me
There
up
you go.
to, forgive the New Zealand date
Yeah.
formats, but the 21st of March. And then I want another 6 weeks. That fills out the end date there as well, and makes it really easy
Oh,
to
that's so cool.
Yeah.
So
And
again,
then
that was M for month and then W for week, right?
W for the week number. Yes. Yep.
Oh,
So
that's some cool little
so if we
shortcut.
go W1 for week one,
Yep.
my rate card doesn't stretch out that far,
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah. So
I gotcha.
and
Okay,
just
great.
to quickly while we're here talk about I mentioned the little heartbeat. That's the heartbeat indicator
Yeah,
down the
I can't.
bottom.
I have you. We're covering our faces. Our beautiful faces are
I just
covering this.
saw
Hold on, I
that.
gotta do
Yes.
this little. There's a little green button, right? A little circle right there.
Right
Yeah, yeah,
right
okay.
behind the video.
Yeah.
Let's just
No,
oh
I got you. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So
all
that little
right.
green heartbeat that's there, right? So
Yeah.
the
That's the indicator that I'm healthily connected to the Aquira service, no network outages or anything. Because the last thing you want while you're working away, say putting together a contract or doing logs, is to go to save and find that you're no longer connected. So
yeah.
it's just a
And
time
Brian, I always
saver and time to call your IT department, I
yeah,
guess,
or RCS support. By the
or
way,
RCS
I,
support.
as you know, Brian, I always like to tease little things on these RCS lives. And I was going to say, if you're watching this, I know that green heartbeat there because somebody is working on the Aquira Academy that will be released longer than shorter. But we're also working that too. So you're wondering about RCS Academy and when Aquira is coming out. Just know we're working on it. It's working on it right now. So that's great stuff, Brian. So again, just to recap over here, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to just turn off your computer for right now. Get us nice, beautiful faces on here, Brian. Brian Radka over in Christchurch, talking about essentially Aquira beta, new users on there too. Release coming down the pipeline very, very shortly. Some really, really cool things with Triton integration and other integration as well, which is just be such a big thing. And I can't wait because you and I were talking about this. There's a lot of great stuff to show, and we want to show you.
Absolutely.
So we're going to save that for a future RCS Live. And then, of course, we have other great features. Reach out to your local RCS representative, be it, in the support or whomever, and we'll help you out and get you in touch with all those great features, the new build of Aquira, which is 3.21.2, right?
That is correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
3.21.2.
Yeah, 3.1.2.
Yep.
That's the next one there. And again, want to be a beta user and test this out? Let us know. We're here to help out as well, too. So, Brian, that was phenomenal. Thank you so much. And look at that. We're under
No
20
worries.
minutes. So, Di's going to be very happy.
Wow. Awesome. we
Thank
we
you
could
so
have
much,
gone on
Brian.
for another hour, but
Well, in that case, let's go on and talk about another feature that I love about Aquira. That's been great.
sure.
Hey, listen, we'll see you on the road this year as well. A lot of great events over here. Full list of all our RCS lives are on our archive, rcsworks.com/rcs-live. And I'll see you next Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. As always, RCS Live. I'm Nate. That's Brian. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.